to Table Talk, a Comedy Cellar affiliated podcast. No, I don't know. How do we introduce this thing?
Why is it affiliated?
Hey, welcome. All right, let's talk about it. Hey, welcome to Table Talk. It's the live from the table after show with Dan Naturman and Periel Aschenbrand.
Oh, I thought I was supposed to say my name.
And who else?
No, that's it. I thought you were going to say your name and I would say my name.
We could do it that way next time.
Okay, well.
But anyway, today's episode.
Yeah.
So we talk about the episode. We also talk about other things. So you don't. It's a standalone. Really. You don't really need to have listened to the corresponding live from the table.
Right.
I don't think. But however, we did discuss today some interesting things that came up. Noam purchased the McDonald's on West 3rd and 6th Avenue. So he's opening up another Comedy Cellar, as if the Comedy Cellar could not get any bigger and expand any further.
I mean, it's huge news. What's going on? Did you spill some water on your shirt?
I think it's water. I think, yeah. What else would
Well, what else would it be?
Yeah. So the Comedy Cellar, in addition to the four, how many rooms does it have? 1, 2, 3, 4 rooms that they have, the Comedy Cellar, the Village Underground, the Fat Black Pussycat Bar, and the Fat Black Pussycat Lounge. Now is going to add to it the Menachem Dorman Comedy Theater, formerly the McDonald's on West 3rd and 6th Avenue. And Menachem Dorman is Noam's father, who founded the club along with Bill Grunfest back in the 80s, and is the reason why Noam is the current owner of the club.
So
in honor of his father, he's going to name it the Menachem Dorman Comedy Theater.
Are you excited?
Yeah, I am excited to see what it looks. It's going to be, I think, probably very beautiful. He's talking about having like a balcony,
Yeah.
which none of the other clubs have. My guess is, he's going to make it very, very nice.
Yeah, it's going to be like a real theater.
Now, as I've mentioned on Live from the Table, as well as I think on Table Talk, which may or may not be the ongoing title of this podcast, but Table Talk for now. I don't know that I'll benefit financially in any great way.
Well, you might, except that you might.
Well, I'll benefit perhaps slightly. There'll be more shows. Maybe I'll do more shows, but they'll only
maybe you'll do an hour.
Well, I could do that now if I wanted to, but I just don't think I'm going to get a lot more spots. That's what I'm saying. But it's going to be exciting to see the continued domination, the continued rise of the Comedy Cellar is certainly always something exciting and interesting to see. By the way, I did do, this is unrelated, but last night I did New Joke Night.
Okay. Oh, that's fun.
Which every week, Will Sylvans hosts New Joke Night on Monday nights, and they might also do it Thursdays, but I know they do it Mondays, at the Fat Black Pussycat Lounge. And this way, the audience knows ahead of time you're doing new jokes, so you feel less stress. So I did a bunch of new jokes, and none of them really killed. And I don't know if it's because the audience wasn't great or because the jokes weren't that great, but...
You tell me one.
Well, one of the jokes, some of them were brand new. Some of them I know in retrospect aren't good. One joke I talk about how I'm studying Spanish. This joke I've done before and it's worked, but sometimes it hasn't.
This is funny. I know this. Yeah, go ahead.
The Alzheimer's ones? I say studying Spanish because I read that if you study Spanish, that can delay the onset of Alzheimer's. It won't prevent it, but you'll get it. You'll get it later, and then I guess I'll have Alzheimer's in 2 languages. People like, Dan, what's your birthday? Yo no sé.
That's funny. You did that at my show,
okay.
right?
Yeah, I did that at your show.
And it killed. Did it not do well?
It did okay.
Yeah, it's a funny joke.
And then I did how, as I get older, if I have kids, if I get too old, I won't be able to, play ball with the kid or go hiking with the kid, maybe take him on a ski trip, all the things my father was able to do with me. He didn't do any of them, but he was able to.
That's funny, too.
Okay. But what do you think? Thoughts, Nicole?
Yeah, they're both great, but you felt like they didn't respond.
They did all right. They did okay.
And how...
And then I did another joke about how, this joke I've tried in the past. I can't get it to work, and I've given up on it. How Neil deGrasse Tyson, how I would date him if I were a woman, but I would only be using him for his science knowledge.
Okay.
And he'd be like, can we discuss something else besides science? And I'd be like, yeah, we can discuss you sleeping on the couch. Because he doesn't want to talk about science. but nobody ever laughs at that. I don't know why. It seems funny to me, but anyway.
You could dig your heels.
And then one other one I didn't do, I forgot to do, was like the Declaration of Independence, where, it said like, we hereby dissolve all ties to the British Crown. If one of your descendants marries a biracial actress, let us know. But other than that, we want nothing to do with you. So you seem to think that's sort of funny.
That is funny.
So I'll try that. I didn't try it last night. I just didn't. Anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, I did a couple of those at your show that we did.
Yeah.
So they weren't necessarily, by new jokes, they weren't necessarily brand new jokes.
Are they supposed to be brand new?
There's no law.
Right.
There's no rule. What is Will Smith going to fucking call the cops?
I did, speaking of Will Smith.
Did I say Will Smith or Will Sylvans?
You said Will Smith. Oh,
I meant
you
Will Sylvans. I meant Will Smith.
That's an interesting slip of the tongue. Speaking of Will Smith, I did finish finally watching the Chris Rock special.
Oh, I didn't know you had not finished.
I had not finished it. It was why does he say everything twice? Do you have any
Well, that's
insight
just his
into that?
rhythm.
That's just
It's
his
rhythm. Yeah,
the way he does it.
Like a preacher, I think, might do that.
Right.
What does the Lord have to say? What does the Lord? Like it's a preacher thing. I
Right.
think.
I thought it was great. I really liked it. For something new and interesting to say about it. I don't know that I have one, but I wanted to tell you that I did finish watching it.
So you had only watched the first half?
Yeah, I got to the part where paying for pussy, which I thought was really funny how he did that.
Well, the best part, in my opinion, was the end where he talks about Will Smith.
Yeah, it's great.
And where he doesn't really pull punches. He basically, he's no fan of Will Smith, and
It was brutal.
where he talks about how all these other motherfuckers talking about, saying shit about Will Smith, and he didn't hit any of those people,
Mm-hmm.
but he hit me because I'm small.
Yeah.
I didn't go for he played Ali.
Mm-hmm.
I played Pookie.
Yeah.
So-
I mean, it was very
Is it
well
cold in
done.
here?
No, it's not. We go through this every week. It's not cold in here. What
Nicole?
I just don't understand why it comes up in the middle of the podcast every single time. It just strikes you at a certain time. that
Yeah,
you're
I
cold.
feel chilly.
But you've been sitting here for 3 hours.
I've been sitting here for an hour and a bit, but it's like, I feel chilly. You don't feel chilly, Nicole?
I don't know.
You want your jacket? Last time you did it in your jacket.
I could do that again. Yeah.
You want me to get you your jacket?
Yes, if you wouldn't
I
mind.
don't mind.
Thank you, Periel Aschenbrand. Well, maybe it's something wrong with my body temperature. I don't know, but
We've got to pick up the pace here a little bit. We've got to. I mean, you're putting the jacket on the chair.
all right. Well,
So what? Let's chat about something. So you. Oh my.
go ahead. Start the chat.
We did a show together last week. How was that? You said that
we did Deli Laughs.
you said that,
Periel and I did a show called Deli Laughs.
and I think that last time I spoke to you about something, you said you didn't remember, part of my act was funny or dirty or something.
Well, I didn't. Yeah, you didn't, because I only saw you. I didn't see your act. You just introduced me, and I don't even think you said much before you introduced me. Did you?
Yeah, but yeah.
Well, what did
but
you say?
I don't remember. Who knows?
Yeah, I don't
think I
recall one way or the
remember.
other.
But it was a good show. I thought it was
And Modi closed.
Modi closed.
Modi, that's the kind of guy you need to close a show about. That's deli oriented.
Why you've closed them before?
Well, I'm saying Modi's a good choice.
Yes, thank you.
Modi's a good choice to close a deli show. Modi Rosenfeld, goes by the name Modi. For those of you who don't know him, he has staked out a niche amongst a Jewish Orthodox mostly, but not necessarily.
Not anymore. I don't.
But very,
think.
very people that identify as Jewish. In other words, so if the Italians like Sebastian Maniscalco, and I don't know how much of his audience is Italian, but there's some number. And if Matteo Lane has a special appeal to the gay community,
Mm-hmm.
and if Zarna has a special appeal to the Indian community,
Mm-hmm.
then Modi has done the unthinkable and decided to carve out a niche in the Jewish community, which is odd because I would have always just thought the Jewish community would be more interested in Chappelle or in just like the younger Jews. You know, I don't know how interested they are in specifically Jewish comedy. The older ones, like my parents, of course, they grew up on the Borscht Belt and the Catskills.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, whatever.
Okay, that's a tangent, but fine. Okay, yes, he they love him, and the show is fun.
Even though he is now out,
He is out,
he's out as gay, which you're not supposed to be if you're religious.
right? Well, I mean, I think that depends on who you ask. I mean, are you asking like the fucking Satmar people?
No, I
in,
think
like,
that.
It's a whole new world, Dan.
Yeah, but the Bible's not a whole new Bible.
Right, but the interpretation.
Ain't nobody wrote the Bible. Well, it's hard to reinterpret. A man shall not lay with another man as with a woman.
Well, it also says that you're not supposed to mix like wool and linen.
Yeah, and I don't. And woe to he that mixes wool and linen, for
Right.
there shall be a terrible punishment.
There are.
Well, that's why I don't believe in the Bible at all. But if you're going to believe in the Bible, then
Well, you
you
just-
can't just pick and choose. You got to say, well,
But everybody does. That's the whole point. Didn't you hear what Gianmarco just said about his whole conversation?
yeah, I know, I get it.
Everybody picks and chooses.
Right, I
That's
picked
why
it. But you would think.
the whole thing with the Sabbath and you can do this and you can't do that. I mean, it's all everybody picks and chooses. This is the whole thing. But and everybody thinks that the thing that they pick and choose is the right way to do it, right?
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is okay,
Yeah, all right.
right?
I suppose.
Well, are you an atheist?
I don't like that word
Why not?
because it is too strong.
Okay.
It scares me.
Okay.
But I might well be.
What is
I use the word agnostic. Now, what does agnostic mean? Agnostic means somebody that believes there might be a God,
Okay.
but is not convinced of it.
Okay.
An atheist is a person who says there's no God.
Right.
So where do we draw the line?
Mm.
Because what if somebody is 99.99999999999999999% sure that there's no God? Would that be enough to put him into the agnostic category? That 0.0000001? I mean, I don't think, when people use the term atheist, I mean, I don't think I won't say nobody, but my guess is most people allow for at least a tiny possibility of the existence of a God.
You want to
Even a guy like Richard Dawkins, who wrote the book The God Delusion. I read the book. If memory serves, I think even he acknowledged a slight possibility that maybe, perhaps, there's a God, but he would call himself an atheist. So I don't know what the line is between agnosticism and atheism. Where but the term atheism scares me so much. It just seems so extreme. I call myself an agnostic.
I thought agnostic meant something else. It means that there might be.
Agnostic means you're unsure. Atheist means you're sure there is no God. But I don't know how many people literally fit that category. How many people really literally are sure. But you can look that up and you tell me.
A person who believes that nothing is known or can be known of the existence or nature of God or of anything beyond material phenomenon. A person who claims neither faith nor disbelief in God.
That's the agnostic.
Right.
Roughly what I said.
You want to keep your options open is basically what you're saying.
It's not a matter of, I'd like to keep my options open if it's not up to me.
Who's it up to?
The universe.
Mm.
Of course I'd like to keep my options open, but I don't get to decide.
Now, did you always feel like this, even as a kid, or did you have a moment where you were like...
Look, as a kid, I probably believed that, going back a long time, I don't remember if I believed in God.
But as an adult, you've always been pretty firmly agnostic.
I've been very firmly agnostic as an adult, yeah. Unfortunately, regrettably, terribly, tragically, I don't want to believe this is all there is.
Okay, talk a little bit about that.
Well, why would I want to believe that? We get 60, 70, 80. Well, if we're lucky, we get 100 years like my neighbor.
Well,
And we don't even get to know ahead of time if we're going to get to 100. So she's probably been nervous the past 20 years.
well, I don't know. I mean, that's one way. That's one way of looking at it. But I think there's a positive way about looking at it. Also, you be like, this is amazing. You live every day.
Yeah, I guess.
What is that horrible expression? Dance like nobody's watching and sing in the fuck. Whatever.
Yeah, I
the
mean,
hell.
it's look.
There's a great. Like this. Look
Yeah,
at
it's
this
a
amazing
privilege
life
to,
we have.
well, some of it's more amazing than others, but
Well, I'm just saying that you're saying that it's tragic not to believe in God, and I'm saying, well, that's one way of looking
yeah,
at it.
I guess. But most people have a fear of death. I think the reason we have a fear of death is because it's an evolutionarily necessary thing to have.
Mm-hmm.
If we didn't fear death, we wouldn't make every effort to avoid it,
Okay, fair enough.
and we wouldn't last very long as a species.
Mm-hmm.
So I think our fear of death, logical or illogical, is hard to get rid of.
Okay.
But in any case, but it's very uncomfortable
Right.
and very upsetting. So we try to work around it by believing in God.
Right. And so that makes death more palatable, the idea of death more palatable.
But what it does to me,
Is this show supposed to be funny, do you think? Or are we just
well, it's supposed to be what it's supposed to be.
Well, I think we need to have some sort of thesis about what this
There's
is.
been moments of humor.
Okay. Well,
But
I'm
in
asking so
exploring tragedy, one often finds great humor.
right. Well, I think we should have like a thesis sentence.
Well,
Like how Gianmarco said, "Oh, like this is a place."
look, we
where you come-
we talked to John Marco about, for those of you who listen to the John Marco episode, about decaying bodies.
Yeah, that was.
Things come up.
Well, should we have like a topic for each episode?
No, I think our topic is the news of the week. I did the new talent. I did the new jokes.
Okay.
Okay, Noam opened up the thing.
Yeah. What about me? Don't I get to have?
Yeah, if you have
one?
something interesting.
Well, I do.
Okay, go ahead. But it's got to be interesting.
Well, I'm doing my first bridal shower, as I told you this weekend.
You mean you're performing at a bridal?
Yes. Well, yes.
So you're the entertainment for the bridal show.
That's it, baby. Here I am.
Are these friends of yours?
No.
And how did they find you? And
Somebody saw me and recommended me to. You look at you. You find that just impossible.
no, I
to
don't find it
fathom.
impossible at all. But it's a rough gig because they all know each other, and
Right.
do
Do you have any as a veteran comic?
I've never done a bridal shower.
I would imagine that would be
But
fucking
it's just,
amazing.
It's sometimes when everybody knows each other, they kind of get chatty with each other, and it's like you're in their house, you're their invited guest, and so they have a certain power over you, and because you're, you know what I mean? You're
Okay, so do you have some pointers for me? Anything?
I don't know if there's no pointers except for if I prepare for a potential. Much time do you have to do?
It'll be about 40 minutes.
That's a lot of time.
Well, but I figure part of it I'll be chatting with them. Like part of it I'm going to
Do you have 40 minutes? Have you done 40 minutes?
Well, I'm not
40
doing
minutes?
I'm not doing 40 minutes of stand up. They
Oh.
want me to like engage with
Oh,
them and
okay,
do some
okay.
crowd work
Oh,
and
okay.
stuff
okay,
like
okay,
that.
okay,
So
okay.
you're
So you're like emceeing the event, and then
I-
nobody, right? You're emceeing the event in a sense. And then-
yeah, like they gave me information about the bride and this, and so I actually thought it was very sweet. Like it's sort of really nice to be asked to be brought into this huge moment in this person's life.
Well, there's a fair amount of pressure because this is
It's a big deal.
deal, yeah. My niece is pregnant. Maybe you can do her
Baby shower.
baby shower. That's. I was kidding. I mean, well, if she asked me, maybe I'll recommend you. That's how old I fucking am. Is that my niece is pregnant?
Only Dan Nicole could take the story of me doing a bridal shower and make it about him.
And
No,
then
I'm sure other
offer
people
you a
ca-
gig and then take
I'm,
it
I'm
away.
sure. I'm sure other people could pull it off.
Okay, so you've no pointers for me except
Well,
that be
I have no
prepared to
pointers-
bomb. Is
No, not to be
basic-
prepared to bomb, but no, just do your best. It's just that it's their party and
Mhm.
you're the guest.
Okay.
So they have the kind of power. So like if they start to get disruptive, it's harder for. In other words, if we're at the Comedy Cellar
Mm-hmm.
and somebody's disruptive, we throw them the fuck out.
Right.
Okay, 2 strikes, you're out. You're the guest at their bridal shower. They can say whatever the fuck they want. You can't throw them out.
Okay.
Yeah, and you can if you reprimand them, you have to do it in a sort of a a delicate, deft, tactful fashion because you're their guest.
Right.
That's their shower.
Right.
So sometimes, look, I've done a lot of private shows where people know each other, and it usually goes okay. But
How is
sometimes it doesn't. I did one recently. It was a very well-paying gig, and it was a horror show because they were talking the entire time. It was me performing for some group of, I don't know, they worked in the power industry, energy
Yeah.
transmission industry. And the whole time they decided they would rather drink and chat.
Yeah.
These were
Okay.
people that knew each other. They were probably trying to get laid.
Where was this?
It was at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel in one of the rooms there.
In a room?
Not a like a
Oh,
hall.
okay.
Not in a guest room.
Okay.
And they didn't do it right. First of all, they left half the room was standing room,
Oof.
which lends itself to.
Yeah, sure.
So they don't always know. When
How-
you
right.
when you do a show for somebody that's not, well, you do a show at the Comedy Cellar. We've been doing shows at the Comedy Cellar for 40 years.
It's set up.
We know how to do a comedy
Yeah.
show. You do a show at a broader, they might not know. Is the sound going to be good? Are people going to be paying attention? Is it going to be standing room? I did another show once for a Hasidic group, a Hanukkah show, whatever the hell it was.
A Hanukkah show.
And there were no seats. No seats. Everybody was just wandering around. And the guy told me, just go do your comedy. It's funny. They'll listen. I said, no. I said, it's funny. They'll not listen. He says, do 20 minutes. So I did 20 minutes and nobody was listening.
That's a mess.
So
So
not
I
everybody knows how to run a comedy
Right,
show.
that's absolutely true. But I did put some ground rules down that
Okay.
so I hope like addressing some of those things a priori or a priori.
I don't know. A priori or a priori.
Okay, well we'll see. I'll report back. It's on Saturday.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, yeah. So if it's like not a group that is used to doing this kind of thing.
No, it's not. But it's not a group that's used to doing this thing.
Okay, so so I don't have advice except prepare for
Should I wear a
potentially
wedding
difficult
dress?
situation.
Except for what?
To prepare for a potentially difficult situation, but hope for the best.
Right. That's not great advice.
Well, but again, like you don't have power over these people. You can't.
Well, I'm not
throw-
in the market for power. I just
No, but
want to
like
make them laugh.
As I said, but at the Comedy Cellar, we have rules. You can't yell shit out. You can't talk on your phone.
Right. That's the one
Yeah.
thing that I need to tell them is that nobody can record this. Right.
No, well, yes, you tell them that, but also put your phones away. You don't want people texting. I mean, they'll probably do it anyway, and you can't really do anything about it.
I shouldn't let them record this. Right.
No, I don't think you should.
What
I
if
mean, they might do it on the sly, and but ideally, no. Ideally, they wouldn't.
Oh boy. Okay. Like that's a helpful piece of advice. Not like prepare for the worst, but go, try your best. That's not fucking
Well,
good advice.
Advice could be you tell them before you get there, look, this is how it's got to be. People have to be seated,
I did that already.
and nobody's serving shit.
I did that already.
There's no
Yeah.
open bar.
I did done.
Because there's sometimes I've done gigs where there's a bar and the people leave the seat and they go to the bar.
That's insane, right? Everybody needs
Now
to know that I'm coming before. The bride doesn't
It can't be
know.
a surprise.
It is. The bride doesn't even know that it's her bridal shower.
Oh, okay. Well, that's always a problem when the audience is like, they don't even know there's a comedy show.
Right.
And they're sitting there and they're like, well, we're happy. We're having a good time just talking.
Yeah.
And who's this person now
Right.
telling comedy? We don't want to sit here and watch this
Right.
shit.
Interrupting my sea bass.
Yeah. So ideally, everybody who wants to see a comedy show goes into a separate room. Do you want to see a comedy show? Yes. Go into this room to see the comedy show.
Right.
Do you not want to see the comedy show? No. Stay in this room and don't see the comedy show. But what you don't want is a room full of people that have no idea a comedy show is coming. Hey, everybody, we got a comedy show.
Right.
That can be bad.
Right.
But we've all done those gigs, and sometimes they pay well, so we do them anyway.
Right. All right. Well, that was a little bit more helpful, the specificity of it. But I've already done all of those things.
Yeah.
Hopefully, so I should or should not wear a wedding dress.
Well, I mean, if you want to be kitschy about it, wear a
No,
wedding
I'm
dress.
just kidding.
But yeah, I wouldn't recommend that. But
Well, I mean, you made me a little bit more nervous than I was. I thought this was going to be just like,
a wedding cakewalk.
yeah, there you go.
Um,
All right. Well, I'll report back.
yeah, report back.
Hopefully, it won't be a
Yeah,
complete
I'm just-
disaster.
I'm just saying, you got to be careful sometimes.
All right.
Anything?
Anything else? Well, we'll be announcing some other things soon, but as of right now, you can find Dan on Instagram at Dan Naturman.
You can.
I also encourage everybody, if you haven't watched his clip on YouTube of America's Got Talent, when he's just absolutely abusing Simon Cowell, it's
I guess.
hilarious. Nicole, have you seen that?
I don't know if I have. I feel like I tried to look it up when you brought it up once, but I couldn't find it.
Oh my God, it's literally one of the best things to watch on YouTube, especially if you're a fan of Dan Netterman, as I am. And I'm on Instagram at Periel Aschenbrand, Periel.
Thank you so much. This has been Table Talk, podcast at comedyseller.com for comments, questions, and suggestions about all the Comedy Cellar podcasts. Bye-bye.